Welcome back to Couch Talk, everybody. Today I'm here to discuss the movie Mile 22. This movie is directed by Peter Burg, who has made really good movies as of late, like Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day and Lone Survivor, all of which were with Mark Walhberg. He's also done the not so good Battleship. So he's not. It's weird. There's really no happy medium with him. He either does really good movies or really bad movies. But I mean, I get excited when Peter Burg makes a movie because, like I said, as of late he's been making good ones. So I was hoping he would continue his streak with this, and he doesn't. This movie stars Mark Walhberg, and like I said, it's their fourth movie together. It also stars Lauren Cohen from The Walking Dead. She plays Maggie. Stars John Malkovich. Ronda Rousey is in this. But the real star of this movie is Iko Uwais, who is also featured in both of the Raid movies, which were phenomenal, especially if you like action movies, because this movie, The Raid, is essentially, I won't go into details, but it's known for its fighting and the choreography scenes in it. You know, they'll have like long, like 3-minute takes of just a straight up fight scene. And really, you know, when you do something like that, you film a fight scene with no cuts and no different camera angles, just all one solid take. It's really more like a dance, if anything, learning how to make this look realistic, learning where to position the camera so that it all looks real. And it's a big part on, the actors, too, to perform. And Ego is an amazing choreographer. His fight scenes look so good. So getting him in this movie was what really got me super excited. So essentially the plot of this movie is Mark Wahlberg's character leads a team of ghosts, if you will. They're essentially the people that get hired when our own military and police can't get the job done because it's too dangerous or it's too political and too against the rules of normal law enforcement and stuff. So they hire these people to come in and do it covertly and under the radar and then disappear. So in this movie, Ego's character has this disc, right? And he has information on it to the whereabouts of this chemical that could kill thousands and thousands of people if they get into the wrong hands. And he's willing to give it to our military on one condition: that they transport him to America where he'll be safe, because he took the information from his government and his military and he fled. So now he's a traitor to them. They want him. They'll kill him if it means getting the disc back. So he goes to the U.S. Embassy and he's pretty much get me out of here and I'll give you the information of where this stuff is. So now it's up to Mark Wahlberg's team to get him 22 miles from the location they're currently at to an airstrip where a plane will take him to the United States. And obviously in that 22 miles they have to fend off against wave after wave of enemies. And that's essentially the movie. I've seen a lot of people complaining that this movie doesn't have a story, and it does. The story doesn't really come to fruition until the very end. I personally liked the twist, but there is a solid argument as to why a lot of people hate the twist. Now, I'm not going to go into spoilers or anything, nor will I make a spoiler video, because there's this guy that I watched on YouTube, because I was a little confused walking out too, that actually gave a really great summary of everything that happened, and I'll leave it down in the link below for you guys to click if you're interested. I wouldn't recommend watching it until you see the movie, and if you are a little confused, watch that video that I have down here, and it'll do a really good job of explaining things. The movie is really kind of storyless until the last 5 minutes, when all these little subplots that were in it that didn't make sense at the time kind of connect. And I really appreciated all those little things that they added in there that you wouldn't think anything of until you realize it. The twist at the end is holy shit, all that stuff mattered. But really, this movie is Escape from New York or Escape from LA, but a dumbed down version. It's, go in, get this person, get them out alive. We've seen it time and time again, but, having Peter Burg behind this, he's given us really good movies as of the last couple of years, so I was really excited to see how he would do this. And they got Ego, who, like I was, talking about before, he's a fantastic fighter in his movies, so I was excited. And Peter Burg is no stranger to, action. I mean, he did Lone Survivor, which didn't require a lot of choreography, but he did do The Rundown, which is one of my favorite rock movies, and that has really good fight scenes in it. The problem with this movie and its fight scenes is it's like he didn't know how to film them. which is weird because, like I said, he filmed The Rundown, and those had great fight scenes, and they weren't like all cut weird and edited weird. But this, it was almost like it was from the makers of like the last couple Takens, where like one punch will be filmed from 15 different angles, and they'll put it all together. So one punch is 15 different cuts. So it's like, it'll start off like here, and then the camera will cut to behind him as he goes like this, and then it'll cut again to like a side profile, and then he'll connect with the guy's face, and then it'll cut again from underneath where you see the guy fall backwards, and then it'll cut again to the guy falling onto his back. And it's just like unnecessary. Like, just show the punch in one take and have the guy fall. And a lot of the fight scenes with Aiko, which were the best parts of the movie, were cut like 300 different ways. Kind of like the scene where Liam Neeson is jumping over the fence and Taken 3, and they cut it in like, I think it was like 19 different angles. It's just unnecessary. You have such a good fighter. He's so good at this, and that is his art, and you're not giving him justice. A lot of people that use these quick cuts are, people that are filming much older actors who can't get away with making this fight scene seem realistic. Liam Neeson's old, so him hopping a fence probably was a little difficult for him, so they probably did all those cuts to make it look like he was doing it in one fluid motion when really he wasn't. They didn't need to do this with this movie in the action scenes. It's almost like Peter Burg didn't know how to film it. Now, granted, like I said, he did do a good job filming the Rundown fight scenes, but really it's just The Rock, and it's just The Rock throwing haymakers the whole time, so there's not a whole lot of art to this. But this required him to know how to film Kung Fu, so in my head, I think he didn't know how to film it in ways that made it look realistic, so he thought if he just did a lot of quick cuts, you wouldn't tell that, like, it's a staged fight. The shootouts, though, were really good. I didn't find a lot of problems with the shootouts. They did still cut kind of a lot during them, which doesn't make sense, but I think it was more for like a dramatic, like, as Mark Walhberg shooting people, it's also cutting to like a plane that they call the eye in the sky, which is like looking down on them, and it like can read their heartbeat and everything, and pretty much lets people back at like the base know like, okay, they're still alive. But the shootouts were cool. They were really intense. They were shot okay. They're a little bit more bloodier than I've ever seen in a Peter Burg movie, which is probably why I got a hard R. And they also did this weird thing with Mark Walhberg's character where he's kind of an asshole. He kind of seems like he's on like 3 Adderalls and just had a cup of coffee, and he's like talking really fast, and he's constantly in people's faces, like putting them down and just being a real asshole. And they like briefly touch upon this in the beginning of the movie during like the opening credits, why he has like a tick with a rubber band where if he like his mind is always like running really fast. That's one of his like problems. Like he's constantly thinking too fast. So he flicks a rubber band against her wrist because the pain kind of brings him back down to reality. But aside from that, which I didn't mind, I thought that was like a nice little addition to his character. You don't get a backstory to any of these other people except for Laura Cohen's character, and the only backstory you get is that she's going through a divorce with Peter Burg. I'm pretty sure he was the one playing the husband. And she uses that pain of the divorce and like not being there to like see her daughter to like fuel her during like gunfights and stuff. And like that was a nice little touch that like she's sad that she can't be there to see her daughter's birthday and like help her make cupcakes and this and that. And I liked Lauren Cohen's character, but they had Ronda Rousey in the movie, and she was a UFC fighter, but she doesn't get any fight scenes. She just does a lot of shooting. But Laura Cohen gets in a lot of fight scenes, doesn't really do a lot of shooting, and it just didn't make sense. Why would you get the professional fighter and then not have them fight at all, and then get someone that's not known for fighting to fight? It probably would have looked better if Ronda Rousey did it. And don't get me wrong, I like Laura Cohen. It just didn't seem, it seemed like their roles were reversed. Like Lauren Cohen should have had Ronda Rousey's role. But, I mean, the character that Lauren Cohen played had a lot more depth to her emotions and acting, which I don't think Ronda Rousey can do because she's not that good at acting. So I guess that's why they cast Laura Cohen in that role. But aside from that, like I said, the real star of this is Aiko. John Malkovich's character kind of plays like the operator or like the eye in the sky back at the base. He's constantly watching them on cameras and like helping them find paths to like take and get to safety, and he's helping them figure out like where to go next. But besides that, he doesn't really have much to do, which is a shame because John Malkovich is a great actor, and you don't really see him around a lot, and then he gets thrown into such a small, minor role like this. It's just a shame. He's also wearing a really, really, really noticeable wig. They should have just left him bald. I don't know why they do that. I didn't hate this movie as much as a lot of people are making it out to be. You know, a lot of people are saying like it has no story. But it does, you just have to pay attention, and a lot of people are really disappointed that this movie does kind of leave you on a cliffhanger because it clearly seems like they wanted to start a franchise with this movie, but it's kind of tanking at the box office, so it's probably not going to happen. So for the rest of our lives, we're never going to know what happens at the end of this movie, which is kind of sucks because I would definitely see a second one with a better director behind it who could handle this kind of caliber of fight scenes. Because the movie was enjoyable. I did like it. I did like the twist. And like I said, I understand people are mad because of the twist ending, but it wasn't just in there just to be in there. You know, they wanted to set up future installments. So I'm not gonna hate on the movie for leaving on a twist because plenty of movies do. It's just usually those movies do well enough to spawn a couple sequels to answer some questions. But yeah, I think this movie's biggest fault is Peter Burg and making the movie really hard to watch because you're going to this movie to see the action and it just films it like such shit. Oh, you know, aside from the shootouts, like you go to this movie to see the fight scenes that the movie advertised in the trailers, and it's just you can't really tell what's going on, and it's kind of disappointing. I do recommend going to see this movie if you're a fan of Mark Walhberg because you get plenty of him in it, and if you're a fan of Ico and the Raid movies, definitely go and see it because you do get some decent action out of him when you can make out what's going on. But other than that, if you're not a fan of like huge action set pieces or Mark Walhberg, you're gonna hate this movie. Just like most of the theater that I was seeing it with hated the movie. I'm gonna give this movie a 5. It definitely has some light through the darkness, and I definitely enjoyed some of the action. I really like Mark Walhberg. You know, he's given me nothing but good movies the last couple years, minus Daddy's Home 2, which I don't know why they did that. It was horrible. I like the first one, but not the second one. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like what you see here, please like, please subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you next time.